There we go. Alright, so we got that going on. And let me start it off. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Blazecasting presentation. Bring you guys a game between the France team, actually ASFrance is what they're listed at, and then ProDota is the other team here. This is the Dota 2 Staff Cup, so these are two lesser known teams. I mean, these are kind of, a lot of the individuals that are on these teams are kind of behind the scenes here, but these are ones that don't get as much notoriety as I feel they deserve. Honestly, I don't know them, so that's kind of one factor there that I'd like to, give them a little bit more as far as the opportunity to show what they've got in Dota skills and etc. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am Blazecasting, joined here with Blightwind. How's it going, man?
It's going good. Excited to be able to catch the tail end of this. I was worried that I'd end up missing all the games because of work, but glad to see that it's still going on, and we have an interesting draft starting off already.
Most definitely. That's really, really unique what we've got going on. I mean, the fact that Nyx Assassin, Magnus are both in the pool, but neither one picked up. I mean, now we do see the Nyx come out, but yeah, they started off Bounty Hunter and Lifestealer, and then Keeper Light and Nyx. I mean, those are definitely really powerful lineups. It's just the order that they came on through, and starting off with the Phantom Lancer band, all those are a little bit unorthodox to me.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of like you had said, with the Nyx and the Magnus still being available, some of the other usual ones, like TA, she's still available. The Phantom Lancer, I mean, yeah, he's definitely popular right now and very powerful, but I don't know if it's a necessary ban right away. And then the Bounty Hunter and the Lifestealer, I feel those pickups are a little too early. Because as it stands now, you can pick up like a Beastmaster or even an Enigma to help shut down that Lifestealer while he's raged, and it's the kind of thing that if you show it too early, then you're just going to get yourself crushed.
Sure enough. And now they've actually picked up another kind of supportive utility type hero. They picked up the Keeper Light, and Nyx Assassin generally plays like an int himself. So the fact of the matter is, getting those two along with the Rubik means that they'll have a ton of lane presence. I mean, all these heroes are powerful as supports, just for their power with Illuminate, with the disables from Nyx, with Rubik and his Fade Bolt and Telekinesis. I mean, all of them are really, really great in lanes in general. It makes me curious to see if they want to go for like literally a 3-man support aggressive tri-lane, or if they're going to send one of those mid. Nyx Assassin, Rubik, both of those great solo mid heroes that have a lot of potential to kind of steamroll and snowball if they get a little bit off the ground right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, you don't typically see a Viper pickup. I mean, I remember seeing him be picked up early on in like International 1. That was mostly just due to the fact that the pool was so small that you ban out a couple carries and you were essentially forced into picking up one of the kind of lesser carries. So, I mean, Vipers can be very powerful with that Nether Toxin, especially when he can act as like a semi-carry to the Lifestealer. It allows him to kind of go more of a tanky and just be a general nuisance within team fights, rather than having to go for as the primary source of damage.
Sure enough. So that's an interesting draft. I mean, they do kind of have two semi carries and 1 carry right now, which means they do have a lot of scalability into the late game. But the question is, who's going to give them the control they need lane wise? The fact of the matter is, yeah, Viper doesn't have that much presence on the lane. Can do pretty good 1v1 mid, but if he's going up against like a Nyx, you can always pop off the Carapace pretty much any time you want, so that the damage over time will, of course, stun out the Viper. You can even just auto-attack him, and the Corrosive Skin will enable you to get a free stun off with that Carapace. So it's kind of a risky play to go for that Viper right off the bat. I mean, as far as what he's up against, he can get disabled pretty hardcore. And generally, I see him more and more often picked up as a counter pick, more so than anything else. Going up against the Lifestealer, you can use your ultimate to negate most of the Rage's benefit, especially if you pick up an early Aghanims. And same leaning against the Templar Assassin, poison attack, just to make sure that you don't have to deal with the refraction defensive mechanic as much. So seeing him as just a straight up pick, it's an interesting maneuver, but the fact that both these teams have made it thus far in the losers bracket of the tournament means they've obviously have a couple of good strategies and a couple of games where they've practiced and used them to the great effect there. But we do see the Gyrocopter being picked up here, pretty much solidifying the role of the carry for the Radiant. I can't imagine it's going to be like a utility gyro that goes for mid lane or anything like that, because they already have 3 high utility heroes. So we'll see how they want to lane it, but it does add just a lot of presence in the team fights in general, with that flat cannon, with the big right clicks that he can get if he picks up something like a Manta style or a Butterfly pretty early on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we saw in the last game the power of like the potential power of Gyro, and I mean he can go toe to toe with the Lifestealer, and Lifestealer can go toe to toe with him. So it's really kind of an even ground. It really depends on how the laning stage plays out, and also as it stands now, ProDota needs to pick up some lane supports. I imagine we'll most likely see a pair of tri-lane supports. I mean, you could see a Lina, Leshrac, maybe even something a little bit off, like a Sand King. Could be very, very powerful, give them some much-needed team fight.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need to get some big utility team fight. I mean, something that will disable the opposition, because right now that ball is entirely in the Radiance Corp. Nyx Assassin, I gotta say, he's just so powerful. If you can get the Carapace to proc on multiple heroes, get a 2 or 3 man Impale, right off the bat, you're pretty much putting out the teamfight presence of a Tidehunter without having to commit that ultimate, as long as you can get in the right position at the right time. But the Jakiro really will add to their lanes, add to their lineup in general, and put some pressure out in the right direction. I think it's a really solid pick, and it's what they kind of needed to kind of actually make sure they can get through the laning phase towards that mid to late game. As far as how they want to lane it, most likely Bounty Hunter will go on the off lane, Viper on the mid, and then have Lifestealer and Jakiro go and just farm up him aggressively and make sure they can control the lane from there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the last of the lanes will kind of be solidified with this last pickup. I imagine it'll be a tri-lane support of some kind. Maybe someone like a Leshrac would be good to combo with that Ice Path, or even a Sand King to help set up the Ice Path. We could see something like a Tidehunter who might not contribute to the actual lane, just do some stacking and pulling to get himself that moderately fast level 6. So it's, I mean, there's a couple different options. As far as ASFrance goes, I mean, their lanes are really flexible, because Rubik is a very strong mid. Okay, with the Night Stalker pickup, that's definitely going to be their mid.
Yeah, sure.
I was going to say, I guess we'll see maybe an offlane keeper.
I'm thinking they might go aggressive try.
Again, well, and kind of like I was commenting on their mid lane, their off lane, like all 3 of the supporty heroes they picked up have the potential to go off lane. I mean, Nyx can be very powerful in that because it allows him to get a fairly fast level 6. Same thing with Rubik, and then Keeper just because he can generally farm decently well, because he can just constantly spam Illuminate, doesn't really have to go near the creep wave, allows him to get that relatively fast mech up. And so really, no matter how they do their lanes, they should be fairly strong lanes, which is a really nice thing to see. So ProDota's gonna have to go with a bit of an interesting last pick here. I again still say like a Tide or a Sand King, like somebody with a huge team fight AoE, because as it stands now, they probably won't be able to win just a straight up carry fight.
Yeah, one thing I got to mention is that this is like the first game in months and months. Okay, I can't say months and months, but at least 1 month that I've seen a Magnus go through the entire phase without being banned or picked whatsoever. Just 100% did not get touched at all. They go with the Venomancer instead, which is great for lane support, but as far as going up against the Night Stalker, it's not the most defensive of heroes. Like, you were talking good stun, hard stun, Earthshaker, Screams, Turtle, defensive, awesome stuff, but with the Veno, early game, the Gale can be nice, pressuring out whoever they go up against, but it's not going to be the lockdown they really 100% need. They're going to assume that the Lifestealer can, start off with open wounds, follow it up with a Gale Ice Path, and then that's kind of going on the assumption that they have the winning aspect, they have more damage output in that kind of 3v3 skirmish. But if I'm right and they go for an aggressive tri-lane, either with 3 supports or 2 supports and a gyro, that's still going to be a lot of lane presence for coming out of the Nyx, and it's just going to be hard for them to deal with. And if they overextend themselves, if they put themselves forward and it doesn't pan out for them, they're going to pay the price, unfortunately.
Yeah, so, I don't know, you want to go over the Dire lineup and I'll do Radiant?
Okay, if you want to start off with the Radiant, I'm going to fix an overlay thing real quick, and you can go ahead with that.
Sure thing. So we have L-Hop playing the Gyrocopter, Lusigno, I guess, Keeper of the Light, Siaska on the Nyx Assassin, Blue Dark on the Night Stalker, and then King playing that Rubik.
Cool, cool. And then we do see, on the mid, we're seeing Stuff Flaxor coming out for ProDota on the mid lane. Starting off with another Toxin, interestingly enough. And then up on top, we do have an acrylic name that I cannot pronounce in any way, shape, or form on the Jakiro. Going up top, supporting the Lifestealer, which is Mahiz Arahiz on the lifestealer there, so that'll be nice and awesome for them. Then we do have again the bounty hunter on the offlane here, and that is going to be Re124C41 plus. So go with that. Whatever. And then they do have a 5-man swarm going on the bottom lane. They really want to make sure this is well controlled. Kind of surprises me in this position. I mean, that would indicate they want to go defensive tri-lane, and I'm not sure exactly how this is going to pan out for what they're currently looking at here.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I mean, it's on the one, and they could do it. It's not like they have a weak defensive tri-lane, but like you had commented, they have everything you need for a good aggressive tri-lane. If they did like a Rubik Nyx gyro tri-lane, that's 3 hard stunners.
Balls of steel on this bounty hunter.
Oh, yeah, he is so lucky they didn't have some kind of they didn't put a sentry right there.
Yeah, it's not unreasonable to have a sentry like right here, deward all this stuff that's in the pull, and if they had just done that preemptively, holy crap, would he have just been completely screwed, walking underfoot, just treading ever so slightly. But beyond that, Invisroom picked up. It looks like they want to go for a first blood on mid, most likely. I mean, that is a Viper. He doesn't have any escape mechanisms. If they can just close the distance, and for the time being, all he sees is this Rubik at long range. Possibly no idea at all of the invisible Nyx, who is available at any point in time to come on in here.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really go, like, he's going for that fast bottle, so he doesn't have a whole lot of survivability either. So if they get something, but it looks like they're just going to back on off, they realize they've wasted too much time here, and they don't want Bounty to have, not necessarily free farm, but they want to constantly be pushing him out of the lane. Because the last thing you want to do is let Bounty just sit in lane and gather up that experience.
Sure enough, sure enough. One thing is, I don't think Viper's much of a bottle carrier. In my mind, he probably is just going to go for boots pretty early on, but that alone will give him so much potential in the lane to harass back this Night Stalker. Use a little bit of orb walking to not even aggro the creeps, and he can get some free right clicks all day long. Looks like Bounty is going to do some cheeky play, try to pull the creeps away, but he's going to be forced to invis right here if he can even manage to do so. The sentry is available, but puts it down when he's already out of range. The impale misses, and all that just kind of not coming out the way they intended it to. So they were at the right place at the right time, and Bounty Hunter, of course, not getting experience on the lane, sitting at 0 experience for the time being, but not going to be able to do too much as far as locking him down.
Yeah, I mean, he is being creative, so it's definitely, they'll have to keep on their toes to, you know, keep him as low down as possible. Because like you had said, he's trying for some cheeky pulls. He'll probably even look to just wait for them to do a creep pull and stand next to it. I mean, and as it stands now, he's even just getting experience because they don't know where exactly he is, so they can't constantly be pushing him out of lane, and this gyro, while still getting farm, isn't able to just do whatever the heck he wants.
Sure enough, sure enough.
And it looks like we do have a long lane keeper, and he actually gets galed, but I don't think anyone else is in position to really do anything.
Yeah, the Ice Path could come long range, but yeah, a good attempt, but it's just not going to be enough. They want to go for it, though. Open Wounds comes out. They're looking for the first blood. The Ice Path will land. A couple more right clicks. They will get the first blood here. Starting off ProDota, taking it down. Venomancer going to pick up that first blood right off the bat. So putting Keeper on the back foot here, and of course, putting a lot of gold in their pocket. Starting off, Venomancer now has 483. Pick up boots, whatever, so he can roam around, or whatever he feels he needs to move on forward. With that, though, the tier 1 on bottom. One big aspect of Bounty Hunter on the offlane is he cannot counter push in any way, shape, or form. He's all single target. He's going to take a lot of damage here, and he's going to have a hard time of things with the push potential coming out just from flat cannon alone.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's sort of like if you run a Lich in the long lane, say it like the same idea. He has absolutely nothing to stop the push once it comes. He can survive decently well in the lane, and he can gather up experience, and you know, he, for the most part, is a powerful solo laner, but I imagine we'll see him maybe scoop up a couple levels, and then he might just go look to roam around a bit before 6, just because he's not really getting anything at all down in this lane. He's got a single last hit in 3.5 minutes.
Yeah. So that's obviously a great limiting factor there. Meanwhile, up on top, they have such great control for ProDota with this pull that they're going, and they actually were looking for a double pull. Not going to get it, so that's not going to change too much. And with them, the creeps taking tower hits, they actually could transition this into a push. Right now, Keeper the Light has a ban in the top lane since that's first blood. You look at his experience per minute, he's sitting at literally dead 0. So no experience at all, and he is completely banned in this top lane. But with that pull, being a single pull, almost accidentally, because they were going for a second, but now, even if they just put 1 point in Liquid Fire, they could completely obliterate this tower. They have Rankling Plague Wards, they have the Siege Creep, a couple of range, and they're going to be in a position to bring this down below half HP at the very least.
Yeah, Keeper has decided to just go the jungle route. Another good thing about Keeper of the Light is if he has a bad lane, you can just go into the jungle, stack up small camp, blast it down with an Illuminate, and he will still get some good farm and good experience. But like you had said, this tower is pretty much guaranteed to go down. They do have that 1 point in Liquid Fire, and then between that and the Venomancer wards, there's really nothing they can do. Looks like both of them in the mid lane went for the bottles, but Night Stalker is able to just absolutely bully somebody if he gets rune control.
Sure enough, and surprisingly, I mean, Night Stalker generally doesn't get rune control during the day. It's just kind of a limiting factor there, where he, of course, has less movement speed in the daytime and didn't even have boots, but was able to beat out Viper just by guessing a little bit more effectively and heading that way a little bit more responsibly. So, all in all, he was able to pick up a haste rune, which of course will help him sustain on the lane. Right now, using rank 3 Void to last it, generally you want to keep that at rank 1 if you want to keep on using it in that fashion, since it's the less mana cost. But all in all, as long as he gets some last hits, it means he will have a very prominent nighttime, and that's of course what he's looking for in general here, trying to maintain an advantage in that regard. Viper going to be looking for treads, possibly going for a defensive item to follow that up, but for the time being just relying on the health and attack speed to do what he needs to do with Nether Toxin, which is going to be important there. Has rank 3 poison attack, which of course is the most important rank, negating all the cooldown of it, so that he can just spam that out whenever he deems it necessary. But nighttime is just a few moments away, and with the potential to gank up on multiple different heroes, they gotta watch their back, most certainly. I mean, Night Stalker definitely needs the next rune, the 6-minute rune, in order to really do anything, based on the fact that he's out of mana now. But all in all, he is a force to be reckoned with at this stage in the game.
Yeah, I mean, he has his boots, and he went, and he gets a DD. Now, it's like, if he can find anybody, they're gonna die. Yeah. I mean, one thing is, he doesn't have any points in Crippling Fear, just went for Void and Hunter in the Night.
Yeah.
I mean...
So the ulti will come out from Viper right here, but he will take a lot of damage in turn. Double damage will be enough. 3 right clicks is all he's got. No, the Impale will set him up to make sure of it. But the Venomancer tries to go for the Gale. Does not hit. Poison Sting doing a little bit, but not enough. Bottles on through it, and will be able to get out just barely with that, of course, movement speed of the Hunter of the Night, rank 3. So very, very aggressive build, but it allows him to just be so mobile right now with a movement speed of 448 without even phase boots yet. So really, really fortunate for him. Getting the Salve active from Nyx Assassin means he can actually go aggressive right here. Double damage still available, but about to run out, so not going to be doing too much with that, but one way or another they are putting some points on the board. It's not just the first blood that they gave up and the tier 1 tower up top. They are able to retaliate just a little bit there.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the strength of Night Stalker, is he's fairly tanky naturally, especially with the double gauntlet pickup early on, and the combination of Void and Hunter in the Night just gives you, like, you can struggle for that first 6 minutes pretty heavily, and couple good Night Stalker ganks, as long as he has a decent first night, puts you right back into the game. It's sort of like a bounty hunter in that regard, that once he really gets those core abilities kind of to a healthy state, he's able to just tear through people.
Looking for an Ice Path and a Gale landing on Keeper of the Light, so he's going to get dropped down here, no problem at all. And that's going to be Lifesteal to pick up the last hit, and it's just continuing their reign of destruction. The Midas was rushed on Lifestealer, so he has tons of golden experience, actually topping out at level 8 now. He is getting a lot of damage coming in from the Night Stalker, from that Void, but will rage out for the time being. Blue Dark going in for another rank 4 Void, wants it, but there's just too much support, too many disables, and he does not want to go diving that far that fast. So all in all, last hitting creep still with the Void, but he has that full 2 sips of bottle to kind of fall back on there. But yeah, he is going to push them off the tower for the time being, but as I said, that Lifestealer picking up a Midas that early on, having it for the past, like, he got a 7-minute Midas at least, and now he's going to be going for phase boots on top of that. So he is on top of the world right now, both in GPM and experience per minute. He is really going to be able to set up ProDota to transition into the mid game.
Oh yeah, he's definitely in a very healthy spot, and kind of like you had mentioned, and one of the unfortunate things about the Night Stalker is I don't know exactly why he went after the Lifestealer. Like, I get because he was low, but being naturally tanky like a Night Stalker is, all that does is gives Lifestealer more healing while he starts right-clicking you. I think in that case it would have been better maybe to just Void, like, the Venomancer and just chased after him. Probably would have been a much easier kill. I know it's not the high-priority target you want, but at this point, like, as a Night Stalker, your very first night, it's all about just getting pure kill numbers. Just getting yourself that advantage.
obviously not seeing that too much right now. 0-0-1 for the Night Stalker. He is going now on to Bounty Hunter. They do put the telekinesis up, but did they have any follow-up detection? It doesn't look like it. Not carrying that around means that they're not going to be able to bring down Bounty Hunter. And I have seen Gyrocopter pop off a couple missiles on an invisible target. Means absolutely nothing. Gale comes out on Blue Dark. He is fast because of nighttime, but beyond that, he has been slowed down quite considerably with that track. They could try to go on him with a Viper's ulti, but instead double impale coming out through from Siaka. Nice call down as well as Ice Path. Both of those abilities are used perfectly, but it's going to be Venomancer that takes a fall because of the damage from Gyrocopter, finishing it off with a nice Illuminate onto Viper. Now trying to finish off Bounty Hunter. They have the Urn, they have the Impale. He's going to drop down 2. That's 3 for 0. Wants to go for more. He can get this Void, closing the distance. There's only Brown Boots on the and Jakiro cannot juke on through the trees, so that will finish him off. Blue Dark picking up another kill, going to 1-0-4, and they're going to take the tier 1 tower. Now, meanwhile, Lifesteal is pushing up on the tier 1, creep skipping quite a bit, but those kills were exactly what France wanted right here.
Yeah, that's exactly what you needed at this point. I mean, the
big
experience
damage. Yeah, nice and fast. We'll finish off the Night Stalker right when he gets out of range of the opposition, and like you said, that Feast rank 4 so powerful in keeping himself sustained, and now that telekinesis is wasted, he just says, you know, TP out from underneath your tower, no problem at all, and it is just really, really strong potential, and of course more experience, because that was the second highest experience per minute. It was a level 8 kill, and now he is jumping at level 9 and much more towards level 10 than before, so he's going to be having that armlet in no time at all and have a huge level advantage to boot.
Yeah, I mean, ProDota is definitely not out of this at this point. Like, they are in a very healthy spot, like you had mentioned. Their Lifestealer got probably the best start you could possibly get, short of all 5 enemy heroes at level 1 walking up to you and then DCing and just letting you right-click them. Like, he got a good early kill.
Mid lane. There is the just Vendetta-ing on out. He does pop on Invis. Oh, so lucky. Does, though. Hello. Going to be able to finish that off. Yeah, you have Bounty on your team. You can't rely on that Invis. So sends a little bit of slow in the direction of the Night Stalker, but beyond that, nice little pick off of the kill. And they're going to extend the nighttime for the first time now that Night Stalker is level 9, deciding Crippling Fear is not worth it compared to the 25 seconds extra they'll get for this night alone.
And I mean, I agree with that. Because really, if you look at it, the only people really worth silencing is the Jakiro, and then maybe the Viper. But the Viper's slow, for the most part, shouldn't really be that much of an issue, just because Hunter in the night gives you so much move speed, so that really you're just worried about the Ice Path, and it's much better to just get more nuke, more move speed.
Oh.
We actually see a missed Impale, and he might just go down to right-click.
Yep. Barely enough. He does try to do the cheeky little rage TP, and it could have been enough, but yeah, just he was pursued indefinitely down under the tower. Almost got the Gyrocopter, but avoid peeling him off for the time being. He just couldn't close the distance there, even with phase boots, and so barely the Gyrocopter survived within an inch of his life. And nice transition in from the Nyx, make sure that Night Stalker can finish and get that kill, which of course will end his spree a little bit prematurely there, but nevertheless, he is doing quite a good job across the map, sitting 2-1-1, and that dive won't really prevent that from happening. One thing I will mention, though, is Crippling Fear is actually really good against Lifestealer, surprisingly, because if you can't cast the Rage, you can still do a lot of damage, a lot of slows, stuns, so on and so forth, and of course he does have that miss chance on top of him, so it actually is quite effective, even though he's not really a caster. He is limited in the sense that he won't be able to use his primary, not only right clicks as effectively, but also his defensive mechanic of Rage, so that's something to keep in mind.
Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, I imagine we'll most likely just see some item pickups, like maybe a Yules or something like that, to help deal with the Lifestealer. I mean, they will have to worry about him during Rage, but after that, they'll probably just look to pick up, yeah, like a Yules or a Sheepstick, shut him down, so then they can just tear apart the rest of his team. And if we look at the golden experience graphs, they're actually surprisingly even, which, I mean, it just shows kind of the dynamics of this game. On one hand, you've got a Night Stalker that's running around diving everybody, and on the other, you've got a Lifestealer with a Midas and a Bounty Hunter, who I don't know if he's gotten any track kills yet, but once those start rolling, we'll see a pretty interesting shift.
Yeah, I believe he's actually gotten absolutely none, just based on the fact that he doesn't have any kills or assists. He hasn't really contributed to any kills, let alone track kills, so that makes it more difficult to really keep tabs on, but pretty much what we're looking at up on top there is a tier 2 dropping down 650 HP, just so much push coming out of both the gyrocopter as well as the Keeper Lights rank 3 Illuminate, but they are trading. This tier 1 tower will fall, Viper picking up the last hit on that, Bounty Hunter putting up some tracks, and they're going to try to counter-initiate on this, go for the Gale. They do have the Infest inside. There comes the, as soon as the Carapace fell, the Lifestealer jumped on in, but he got hit by a big Impale, big Illuminate, and he's only just now dishing out the damage he needs to. No armlet available, so he's going to get right-clicked on down. Double kill for Gyrocopter, and they're going to go with a Void to finish it off and clean it up for a 4-man for 1 swing, and allowing them to take this tier 2. So we were talking about how even it was, but it's going to completely just shift the other direction with this next set of kills, and of course with the tower kill as well.
Yeah, and that was the power of Flat Cannon. If you saw, Bounty Hunter was low, was trying to run away, and the Gyro turned on Flat Cannon and started right-clicking the Lifestealer, and ended up picking up the double kill on the Bounty Hunter anyways. And the fact that he's got 2,400 gold already, on top of an Aquila, Drums, and Phase, I don't know if we'll see just a very fast Yacha, or if he'll go the greedy route and just try and build, like, Butterfly right away.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of different options. One thing he needs to do is stay mobile and stay active. If he gets locked down next to this Lifestealer, it doesn't matter how beefy he is going to have a really hard time fighting up against him without the help of Night Stalker, but that remains to be seen how they want to really engage their team fights. It really feels like the Dire don't really have initiation potential nearly as much. They don't have like that big blink in and pop off one giant stun or something like that. Whereas, with the Nyx Assassin, with the movement speed of the Night Stalker leading the pack, they can really, it feels like the Radiant, the France team, have the opportunity to kind of determine where and when the fights happen and respond in that sense there. So if Gyrocopter stays in a good position, uses his max range flat cannon and things along those lines, he shouldn't have too much issue, and he could go for some bigger damage item, but he also has to be careful and make sure that he is constantly in that position, not getting locked down by the Nyx up top.
Yeah, I agree with you I mean, really, as far as fight initiation, the only thing they have is maybe like a long-range Ice Path. Which is why I still say that it would have been a nice pickup to see like a Tide Hunter or even like a Sand King. Someone that the Lifestealer could have hopped inside. Yeah, you get that Blink Ravage or Blink Epi, and then all of a sudden the Infest comes out.
Big initiation coming in.
So much AoE.
There's the Vendetta, there's the Impale. They pop off the Homing Missile that will guarantee it with the Void right here. They're not going to get too much more because the Ice Path, they definitely want more, but because it's daytime, all they can really do is just kind of go back to the creep waves. They do have a Haste Rune up on Night Stalker, but beyond that, it's really kind of limited here. They got the pickoff they were looking for, though. That does put more kills on the board. Night Stalker sitting at 5-1 and 5. It does look like Keeper Light is forcing out for the time being that Lifestealer. Now the Void comes on out. That Armlet toggle is high potential. Will the Urn come through? Yeah, Urn kind of limiting that. Illuminate turns on the Armlet and is just trying to survive for the time being, trying to get into a creep. Jukes on through, wants to turn it around, wants to go for a kill. Armlet back on, off and on, off and on. He almost gets it with the Infest, but just too long of a radius, not close enough, and so he will just, happily sit in the creep until it expires itself.
I mean, they know that he's in one of these creeps, so they definitely want to try and stick around here and just wait to see him, but, I mean, he should heal. He should be able to escape there, just probably if he gets a fast rage and...
They silenced the creep, actually, trying to turn it around a little bit, get some lifesteal off, but he's just going to run away from the time being, juking around trees, but he is 1 versus 2, and he's going to get dropped down in the end. Just too much. Venomancer took the long trek to try to help him out, but... they're finally, the reinforcements have come just a little bit too late. Ultimate coming out from Viper. They want to close the distance here, but Nyx Assassin with a Knife Impale is going to be able to lock down 3 people with the Impale, and oh my gosh, a gigantic call down. ProDota getting annihilated, double kill for both Blue Dark and Elha, and now they do have the Dust on the Bounty Hunter trying to pursue on him. They need to find him out and get that telekinesis off. Actually, it's on cooldown for the time being, but they do find him. In the end, they're going to be able to finish the job just barely before the Dust expire. Oh, they pop a sentry. So triple kill for Elha in the end, and full 5-man swing. Look at that gold graph, just skyrocket on through. Same with the experience. Holy crap, that was amazing team fight for them. I saw the Impale coming a little bit, but that call down, capitalizing on it so effectively.
Yeah, that was just a bit of... I still think that the Lifestealer should have just popped Rage and tried to TP out, and then if you look at he would have made it out. The rest of his team would have never bothered coming up, and I think also when he died, ProDota should have just backed off. They should have just said, okay, look, we got a pick against us. Let's just go back, try and get some experience on our supports, because how are the levels looking? Yeah, you look, the supports on ASFrance are 8 and 9, and they're still like Jakiro and Venomancer are still 6. Like, they are struggling, and when you're up against a Gyro and a Night Stalker who are doubling your supports, they're walking food at this point.
Sure enough, sure enough. So they're going to be going for a big gank on the lifesteal right here. Starting off with some flat cannon long range harassment. Again, he does have that rage TP. He's going to pop it off. They don't really have anything but right clicks, so they're not going to get enough damage out. They do steal a rage for Rubik. He can get very angry on demand, but beyond that, they don't really get to capitalize much beyond forcing the lifestealer once again off the lane.
Yeah, and I mean, I suppose if they're just wasting his time like this, he's not farming very effectively. He's getting a decent amount from the Midas, but if they can constantly be doing this while still letting their Gyro just farm entire waves with the flat cannon, looks like he is going. He's actually going for a Lincoln, so he has that already. And next we'll probably see him go for like a Manta or some kind of damage item. Just he should feel for the most part safe enough, and I imagine the next. Like, that will look for him to just get damaged. They're far enough ahead. He doesn't have to really worry about a BKB or something like that.
Sure enough. Yeah, it's really interesting going for the Link into this position here. I mean, I'd understand it if there was like a Primal Roar or some other really big single target lockdown, but what he's up against right now, the Gyrocopter really doesn't have to worry about that much single target. It can be taken off by the track, the Shuriken, Viper, slow. I mean, all of them are something that you don't necessarily want on you, but committing that much gold to try to counteract it seems a bit unnecessary to me when you could just get something that's a little bit more effective. As Ultimate Orb, it's great as far as the stats it provides, but it also is very expensive. And so picking up one of those and the regeneration over time, Gyrocopter's not the hero that really capitalizes on that so much, as he doesn't spam more than a spell. Oh, he doesn't use spells unless he's in the middle of a team fight generally. Flat Cannon he farms a bit with, but that's not that big of a deal. So all in all, unless it's negating a big cooldown, I don't see the reason for picking up an item like that at this stage in the game.
Yeah, it would have been one of those things that if maybe a later game, if you see that they pick up like a sheep stick or something like that, that they're dropping on you, just picking it up specifically to block something like that. But I agree with you. If you're worried about the disables, might as well just go BKB, be able to nullify them all, give yourself a little bit of tankiness, and then he could have used that Ultimate Orb for a Manta or like a Scotty or something like that. Yeah,
I completely agree with that there. Manta and Scotty generally being the two options for Ultimate Orb that I would generally prefer. And as you said, there's pretty much nothing. I mean, the BKB would not nullify Viper Strike or the track, but you know, I don't know if that's really going to be the end-all be-all. If he gets Viper Striked up, he dies. He's still a powerful ranged hero. He won't be kited out that aggressively now. We do see a little bit of engagement. Darkness is popped off before really anything goes on through as far as the teamfight goes. I just want to make sure they can secure this tower kill. He has invisibility, but it currently is tracked up, so that's not going to be able to do too much for him. But they take the tier 2, and the Dire team, ProDota, realizes that they cannot contest this just yet. And so they're going to fall back and just kind of try to regroup, because if they reach the late game, like I said, 3 scalable heroes, the Viper, the Lifestealer, the Bounty Hunter, they can do amazing things, but right now, 13 kills behind and so many towers as well. They've actually lost all of their outer towers at this stage.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if it was a little bit of a closer game, then maybe, but I mean, we're looking at about an 8,000 gold difference, which, I mean, isn't insurmountable, especially with a Bounty Hunter. You get a couple track kills, makes a huge difference. But you're up against a Gyro who will be blowing up your entire team. Nyx can even go for a bit of a carry potential if he goes for something like an Ethereal Blade, gives him a good amount of right click. The Night Stalker.
I like this move by Dire, though. Check it out. They go for the smoke for the Roche, and that's going to be some very stable golden experience that they can get at this stage that later on in the game would not be possible. If Night Stalker went for an Aghanim Scepter, then that would mean that Roshan would never be safe. But in this position here, it's sneaky, it's gutsy, but it will work for them very effectively. They get a second Lifestealer as far as the Aegis the Immortal is concerned, and actually get to overcome a little bit of that golden experience deficit. As long as they all have TPs and get back to base. It looks like Venomancer and Jakiro both cannot, so they're actually going to be able to leave their top racks vulnerable, but at least they did take out the Roshan, so we'll have to see what happens at this tier 3 to see if it was worth it.
Yeah, I suppose in the very least this does, for the next 10 minutes, make it so that Gyro won't be able to get the Aegis, because I think at this point, if Gyro got something like that, and then with his 2100 picked up like a Yasha, which even is kind of a moderate damage item, they would have been easily able to bully down Rax, and as even without it, I mean, this Night Stalker just does not care. He's willing to take tower shots. He knows he's far enough ahead, got his BKB, and he'll be able to just bully anybody and chase them down that tries to stop this push.
Sure enough, sure enough. Well, the supports have finally made their very, very long trek up back to defend these Ancients here. We see a little bit of a Plague wars going on with the Rubik and the Venomancer going back and forth with that, but all in all, I don't see much more happening than just a little bit of poke. He's actually right-clicking the Plague wards on the tower alone, so it's very, very gradually dropping down to critical levels. BKB popped off on Blue Dark. That might have been a mistake, but yeah, completely wasted it. And now there's a big cooldown he won't have available. That was his 10-second BKB, the best charge you can get, and he just committed it, and for that reason they're probably falling back. Along with that, not popping off the darkness at this stage at the nighttime, it feels like a mistake that he's just... there we go. Okay, so he was just mildly not paying attention to that one specifically, but the BKB is something that he's got to be kicking himself for a little bit, as that's a pretty big cooldown.
Oh, for sure. Like you said, it's the 10-second one. Also the highest in pure raw cooldown. So, I mean, you wasted the biggest duration, and now for another 40 seconds, which, I mean, isn't the biggest period of time, but it still completely negates any chance you have of pushing down that Rax. Because that's what they were really waiting for, was like another wave to get semi-close, and then you could just pop BKB, go for the last few right-clicks. And just even get the tower down so you can fight them on even ground. I mean, at the same time, they control pretty much all of the map. They've got wards all over the place. So as it stands now, they could just farm up the gyro, and he's got 3,500 gold saved up. Yeah, what they're doing is kind of starving out the opposition. They're making sure that they have to be staying in their base and pretty much just taking whatever creeps come to them, especially with the plateau ward control with these sentries here. They're enabling themselves to make sure they have constant understanding of where the enemy is farming, with the exception of this Lifestealer who's kind of having fun juking on around, but he still has that Rage TP whenever he needs it, and of course that Aegis has to expire sometime, so I don't know. But yeah, it's putting them in an interesting position where they have to pretty much go for a mode where they starve them rather than push them, because because of the usage of that Roshan and that nice maneuver where they smoked that up and picked it up for themselves, they really can't go for a 5v6, and especially not underneath their tier 3 tower. That's why it was a little bit of a mistake here. Now we do see some initiation on Lifestealer, but he's just going to pop the TP right after the Rage, get some right-click damage in, but yeah, not a big deal. Yeah, I mean, it was a good try, and again, pushing them out of the lane, trying their best to starve them out, just to prevent any kind of farm he hopes to get. In the meantime, like, if we look at net worth, we've got a 14,000 net worth gyro, and then, you know, just under 9 for the Lifestealer. So like a 5,000 gold, that's a pretty big chunk. I mean, that's a major item of difference, and when the rest of your supports and the rest of your team in general is so starved, being that you're having your hard carry be one major item behind, definitely not the situation you want to be in. I mean, they are being very, very smart. They're not taking any kind of risk. They just want to, you know, farm whatever waves get near their racks and just kind of wait it out. Yeah, that's a long night to go on through with the fact that Darkness is rank 2. Blue Dark will be able to just continue that pressure going, but actually we do see kind of an engagement right here. They're just going to go for some wards actually, but I feel they could have actually capitalized if they had any kind of way to reveal the Nyx Assassin. He's just going to walk away from that position there, and later on they're going to go S5 to contest that position, but for the meantime, Blue Dark going in the base could be a big mistake. He's tracked up for the time being, but they can't retaliate in time. They're not TPing in to get that Viper ulti off, and those kinds of things kind of limit them, and even popping off never mind. But yeah, the fact is, I feel like the Dire team ProDota is so close to being ready to rumble that it's not even funny. The Lifestealer is only like 1,600 gold, not even. It's more like 1,100 gold away from Desolator. The Manta Style is only a few hundred gold away. The Drum is only a few hundred, and the Mechanism is actually only 700 gold away. So if they can just wait it out, get like 800 gold more on every single hero, they will have such a better team fight than what they're looking at the moment, and they're just being a little patient. But in the meantime, Gyrocopter just tapping out his GPM at 570, just farming up every route that's available to him, and it's going to be hard to keep up with something like that. Yeah, you look, he's about 200 gold from being able to finish that Butterfly, and you give him that. You had commented on the Night Stalker mischance, you stack Butterfly Evasion onto that, and Lifestealer is basically never ever going to hit Gyro if he has both of those on him. And at this, as it stands now, there's really no reason to put it on anybody else.
Sure enough, sure enough. I mean, that's really, it's probably one of the best mechanics to put down on a Lifestealer, because it's most mischance things. I mean, you put down some Whirling Axes from Troll Warlord or something like that, you're going to get the mischance, but he can just rage on out of it. But combining the silence and the mist together, it's one of the better disables for him, other than ones that pierce through magic immunities such as the Demonic Purge and stuff like that. So by making sure that even if he's on the target, that he's not doing so much, and combining that, of course, like you said, with the evasion, it makes it so hard to bring Elha down right now. He doesn't have an Aegis. I mean, he only has 1600 HP, but all in all, what are they going to do beyond that? They have only a rank 1 Venomancer ulti, rank 1 Macropyre, and yeah, if they can't hit him, they can't bring him down. So it's going to put Lifestealer more and more on the back foot. Arahis really wants to go from the Desolator to the MKB, but it's a long way off at this stage, and they have to do something. They have to change the status quo now before Gyrocopter gets literally just farms up a Divine Rapier or something like that and gets completely out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, if he got a Divine in the near future, they could just do whatever they want, because
here we go.
The sheer damage of Black Cannon. Here we go,
yeah. I mean, the nighttime is almost over. They have to act now. So Blue Dark popping up damage on the tier 3. It's going to fall in just a second. Fortification, too late. Not going to happen. BKB pops off. Going for the crippling 3. Not going to get it. Lifestealer rages on away. Now Blue Dark in a really aggressive spot. Might get dropped down. No, the Infest, of course, won't do magic damage during the BKB disable. So that is going to be an exchange. Macropyre pops off on Elha again. So much damage. Flat Cannon about to be off cooldown. Green TPM in. Lifestealer wants to get on out of here. Pops off the rage. Won't be able to be stunned up. Instead, just going to trade hits with Nightstalker and do so much damage. Lifestealing so much with that. But it's going to be Elha that brings down the Jakiro buyback coming out from him. Dust Appearance pops off, and it looks like Lifestealer's armlet toggling out of Fade Bolt and a Flat Cannon charge. Perfect timing. Exactly what they need. Another buyback comes on through. Venomancer jumping in this time around. Stun comes a little early because of the delay. He actually cancels it off, but the melee racks have fallen. Soon the range will as well. And despite all the buybacks that have been committed to try and defend these racks, they have fallen in the end. And Gyrocopter's still full HP. He still has everything at his disposal. It looks like Dual Breath stolen by the Rubik, and they're going to fall back from there.
Yeah, I mean, they did what they accomplished. They took down the set of racks, they picked up a couple kills, and they, like you had said, they didn't really lose anything for it. They used a BKB charge, and that was about it. We see an Assault Cuirass, about 1,300 from that, and that'll, again, just one of those major items that'll put them that much farther ahead, and I don't want to call the game now.
No.
But it's definitely getting to that point of no return.
Yeah, the one big thing, the only real thing that they have to look up to is the fact that it is now finally daytime. It is, I mean, Nightstalker is kind of a non-factor now. He is going for that AC as fast as possible, and it looks like he's only 1,400 away, unless the Corey has something else to say. So no, just 1,400 away from that Assault Cuirass, but he isn't going to be able to be as aggressive as he wants to be. His miss and silence will only be 3 seconds, and beyond it, it's just he won't be able to put out the DPS he wants to. So pretty much reliant entirely on his darkness, which by the time it comes off CD will be rank 3. And we actually see on mid lane, they're trying to put damage on Gyrocopter. The Lincoln's is on cooldown, but they don't have any follow-up from there, and Siak's going to be able to put so much damage on Bounty Hunter. He's going to drop right here with the Telekinesis Fade Bolt to the face after the Mana Burn came on through. Now, let's look again, having to go for that TP, or Rage TP. It's just over and over. This is like the 4th time he's been forced to do that, and he just over and over and over, he goes in aggressive position, and he can always escape, and that's great for him, but from there, he's not farming, he's not actually really doing much more than just running for his life.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that the only way you're going to ever make it to the late game and survive that is if you're allowed to farm, but as it stands now, he gets maybe 1 creep wave out of a lane, and then 4 heroes show up, either do a whole bunch of damage, or he's forced to just Rage TP out of like, without taking damage, but he just does it because he knows if he sticks around for literally half a second, he's going to get impaled, or he's going to get rocketed, or something's going to happen to him, and then he'll just die, and if he dies at this point, the game is over. I do believe he does have buyback?
No, not a single one of them do. Lifestealer is the closest with 180 gold, but only Gyrocopter has a buyback available. and without travels, of course. Oh wait, they do have recall. They have Keeper of the Light's recall. So even if Gyrocopter gets dropped down, by the way, he's 7-0 and 7. We do have a team fight breaking out. It's BKB popped off. Venomaster getting a lot of damage forthcoming, but not going to be able to finish him off. Instead, Night Stalker getting Janata down, slowed down. The Macro Fire comes on out, but Gyrocopter shrugging that off, finishing off the Jakiro and the Lifestealer. Night Stalker finishes that off. So now there's a lot of damage coming in from Viper trying to bring down Blue Dark, but instead the Poison Nova comes off. It's Gyrocopter in the fray, called down with the Rocket Barrage, finishing the damage, and now all they need is a Bounty Hunter to just end it all. And there is a buyback coming out from the Viper, but with the Bounty Hunter already in the grave, they cannot really hold the line up against this Tier 3, up against these racks. Viper is one man against the world, and they have brought down the Night Stalker, but beyond that, there's just too much forthcoming. They're going to be able to, unfortunately, lose the racks, and most likely as a result, the game.
Yeah, that was the one engagement they needed to at least break even. If they had killed more than just the Night Stalker, if they had gotten Rubik or, you know, preferably the Gyro, it would have at least stalled things for that little bit long. But oh my, it's at this point it's just bordering on insane.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got an MKV up on the Gyro, he's got another 1500 saved up, and there you go, there's the GG, and really at this point there was no other way that could happen.
Exactly. I mean, they might have been able to hold their mid lane, but with the pressure continuously coming from the top and the bottom, the just huge advantage as far as kills and of course map presence, they couldn't just contest this Gyrocopter in any way, shape, or form. Again, he's 10-0 and 10 now. Didn't die a single time this entire game. If he wanted to, he could buy back and be recalled into the fray for a second full life. And just look at the damage output straight up. He does that to everybody in an AoE for 6 full auto attacks. It's just ridiculous what he can output right there. Now they're all disconnecting on out, and that's going to be the conclusion of the match, of course. But yeah, I gotta say they just did a really good job in every respect. And the fact of the matter is they played it very aggressively. Night Stalker didn't get as much kills as I'm sure he wanted in the early stages of the game, but what they were able to accomplish on the bottom lane just allowed them to kind of open up the battlefield and, of course, just keep that Gyrocopter farming and playing very, very aggressively. But I gotta say, I would say the biggest turning point was over in the western Dire Jungle when they were swooping in to the west to try to bring down the fleeing Night Stalker, and there was that 3-man impale, that big call down, big illuminate. They won that team fight, and I definitely feel it was a huge impact on the swing of the game.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I think it was either a team wipe or very close to. It was like a 4-0 exchange or 5-0 exchange, and it was one of those things that just a series of tiny misplays that ended up just stacking on top of each other over and over. And eventually, enough small mistakes will turn into a huge mistake that you can't come back from.
Sure enough. So that was obviously the semifinals of the lower bracket, and that was the team ASFrance going up against ProDota. But in the end, ASFrance takes it down with that Gyrocopter carry. Just Elha doing so much work in that. I do have one thing I'll work on real quick, but yeah, what do you think about the game?
Like, you could definitely see the strategy for both of them. So I don't necessarily think there was anything wrong with lineups. I did comment on that I would have liked to see somebody for the Lifestealer to hop inside for some big initiations. I suppose they could have done it with the Bounty Hunter, but I think it was just a, slight little misplays. It was a good game. I'm curious to see what ASFrance will bring to the next round, and it should be exciting. I mean, it's nice to see that some of these, like you had said, some of these smaller teams are getting a chance to show what they have. I mean, everyone watches some of the bigger names like Purge and Toby and stuff like that, and it's nice to see what the others can bring to it, and maybe someone can bring down the Titans.
Yeah, speaking of which, I'll actually check out on the updated brackets and see where they went with the winners bracket. It hasn't updated for that there, but it was going to be, I believe, Toby's team versus the Europeans managers, so 4 guys, 1 girl versus Team Crab, as they actually listed themselves. But the brackets have been updated recently, so we'll have to see as the games go by. But this was a very exciting game, and I'm glad I got the chance to cast it with you, man.